Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Yesterday, as soon as I heard about the 2 police officers and 1 citizen shot dead in Las Vegas, Nevada, I knew the headlines would be this morning: super patriots connected to the Tea Party and the Bundy Ranch crisis responsible. And then I got up this morning at 5:15 a.m. and sure enough, that was the headlines. And then all the George Soros-affiliated websites like Wonka and others just magically got supposed photos of the killers, the alleged killers, dressed up as the Joker and other Batman villains, and the skinny man that is attributed to teenagers stabbing and murdering dozens across the United States. Of course, it doesn't matter if these people are mentally ill and doing this because they blur the macabre fantasy of the sick culture into reality. I will be blamed. And you can bet your bottom dollar by this afternoon. It hasn't happened yet. Not that I know of, but you can bet your bottom dollar by this afternoon, yours truly will be blamed for the 2 dead cops. And I've been through this before. Now, whether this is staged, and boy, there's a lot of evidence it is, or whether this is just organic mind control of the sick culture, people that feel so empty and poor and pathetic that they want power, so they imagine they're comic book villains and go out and kill police. Whether this is ritualistic warfare and the veneer of civilization wearing away, or whether this is staged, it is all part of the sick culture. And I don't have a big crew. I have a great crew. But I know for a fact, probably 100 times the last 6 months, I have said that you're going to start seeing police officers getting shot in public. And it's going to be blamed on the Tea Party and, quote, super patriots, because it's in the dramas, it's in the sitcoms, it's in the movies, it's in the comic books. And whether it's staged black op false flags, which we know have happened in the past, or whether it's weak-minded schizophrenics or people with all sorts of personality disorders going out and doing it, it's the sick culture. I mean, if you showed hundreds of TV shows with women poking their babies' eyes out with ice picks, you would have mentally ill women by the dozens every year start poking babies' eyes out with ice picks. That's what advertising is. And I've talked a lot about this that for years before they walled it off where you couldn't do it at the Empire State Building and other landmarks. Every time a man or woman jumped off, you would have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 or more people show up within hours of it being on the news to try to jump off like lemmings as well. In fact, if a woman did it, you'd have women show up and do it. This is in criminology. If a man did it, you'd have men show up to do it. It's called copycats. And this is now 4 shootings that have Batman connections. But the CNN headline is, Las Vegas shooters were racist, anti-government. And then you read the article, and it says they were obsessed with Batman and the skinny man and dressed up like murdering ghouls. And I'm not saying blame the people that write those comic books, but I mean, sure as, you know what, don't blame me. And I could tell you what happened with their talk show host that came out and said, Alex Jones is calling for violence. Just in the last month, he's going to cause killings and all the rest of it. Don't be with him when I'm calling for not killing people and not killing police. I said, that person's been given the intel. This is about to unfold, and he doesn't want to be blamed with a false flag. And I told you it's coming. I told you. I know the next move. I'll tell you next. Ladies and gentlemen, the country is being purposefully imploded right now. Every major foundation of the Republic is being dismantled in front of our eyes, on record. NATO is in command of the entire U.S. military publicly. Homeland Security now says their mission has nothing to do with al-Qaeda or Muslim extremists. It has to do with the Tea Party, who will launch police-killing terror attacks any minute. With no evidence of that, now it's beginning. 2 + 2 = 4. Even though they teach in Common Core, it equals whatever they say. The borders are completely wide open. Tens of millions of people are flooding here as we speak. Hundreds of thousands a month pouring over the borders, being given driver's license in California to pull the lever to ban guns. We are in the middle of a globalist revolution against this country right now. And my gut tells me that the cold-blooded, degenerate, evil killing of 2 police officers and a citizen in Las Vegas yesterday is absolutely staged, ladies and gentlemen. And I will document here on air how it is staged right now. Because one way or another, the sick, twisted culture of death and of destruction porn that Hollywood sells to the narcissistic masses was responsible for manipulating the mental illness of these individuals and others, or, and this is the much more likely analysis, this was staged. There is so much proof of this being staged yesterday when I first read about it, and this morning, that my mind exploded with hundreds of data points. And quite frankly, it's conclusive. So conclusive that the team, who does an amazing job, is digging through the literally hundreds of predictions I made since the Bundy Ranch situation on air, sometimes more than 30 times per show. I said they're going to go into restaurants and they're going to start killing police. They're going to go into Walmarts. They're going to start shooting people. They're going to go into movie theaters. They're going to start shooting people. And it's going to be blamed on the Tea Party and the, quote, super patriots. Word for word, within hours of this happening yesterday, it was in the news with no proof that they were right-wing Tea Party patriots. Then today, they're now directly saying we need Homeland Security to go after anyone that criticizes the government, while the government has been captured by foreign banks criminally stealing tens of trillions per quarter in banker bailout money to private mega banks, bankrupting us with Obamacare by design. You name it. 5 dead, 2 police officers, the 2 supposed shooters, isn't that convenient, husband and wife, and 1 wall Martian, as the media likes to call them. Some poor person. Who knows? A witness? We don't know. And we have a supposed photo with the George Soros-affiliated satire site so they can put out disinfo. Wonk it. And we'll scroll down and show TV viewers that full image that's up on Infowars.com/show. Jared and Amanda Miller, the super patriots, who gunned down a couple of cops and a lady who were going to Walmart in Vegas yesterday. So they already know what happened. And CNN already knows what happens. Super patriots killed. Las Vegas shooters were racist, anti-government. You read the article, doesn't say anything about that. It says they were obsessed and dressed up like the characters from Batman, Joker, and Harley Quinn. And the fictional horror character that recently suffered in the stabbing of a 12-year-old girl in Wisconsin, Skinny Man. You know, the people that shot governors, the people that shot John Lennon, the people that, Sirhan that shot RFK, they all had copies of Catcher in the Rye. They were obsessed with it. I've talked to the detectives, the police officers, and family members of some of the people I just named. And I'm not allowed to say any more at that point. But the FBI came in and told them to shut up and basically told them, if you don't want to be dead, don't investigate this. Even the LAPD's report said that Sirhan, who was clearly drugged and not shoot Robert F. Kennedy. The point is, people say, why do they have a book? Because that's the template with the electroshock, 6 months of audio recordings, the drugs, all of it. And they're using, and I've been saying this before it ever happened, with Aurora and now 4 other incidents, that they're using the Joker as a programming template in mind control. And we know that Holmes of Aurora was under mind control, told police that, witnesses saw other shooters. He was drugged up in the parking lot like Sirhan. Sirhan wasn't even part of the shooting. Was under high-level Air Force psychiatric care in a above top secret DARPA mind control program, Denver Post, ladies and gentlemen. That he was in a super advanced DARPA secret program being given $97,000 a year by DARPA. His dad, top mathematician in super equations. Theodore Kaczynski, the Unabomber. LA Times was CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, for 18 years in MK Ultra. MK Ultra. MK Naomi. Now, let's be clear. The programming is now so powerful. They don't even need to get you in a laboratory now with the chemicals in the food, the water, the culture, the flicker rate, hypnotizing people. You've seen the TV shows that have been documented by Scotland Yard. We've shown clips of it. I forget the name of it. Jacobson will run here and tell me the name in a minute. He's a big viewer of it. Where they're able to brainwash people off the street to be able to go and believe they're committing an assassination in 1 hour. Now, they do it because they talk to 100 people, do tests, and find who is more suggestible out of 100 people. That's what the government does. They get university students into DARPA and Air Force programs. They've got handlers, top Air Force psychiatrists, you name it. In the case of Aurora, this is on record. And then they just roll them out, ladies and gentlemen, usually just to be drugged up and take the fall and not know if they did it or not. Folks, they could take the strongest person. The North Koreans were able to do this. The North Vietnamese were able to do it with U.S. soldiers. They could take a Marine Corps colonel and in a month have them saying whatever they wanted, folks, and believing it. They take some college kid with a high IQ and Asperger's, one of their favorite programmable types, because they're so machine-like, and they can have them doing whatever they want in a matter of days. Now, Harry Reid comes out and says, we're going to do something about this. These are domestic terrorists at the Bundy Ranch. Everybody needs to be arrested. They roll out last week the domestic terrorism task force saying the Tea Party's the #1 enemy. I told you they've been building this behind the scenes. Now they're rolling it out. They're releasing terrorists saying, well, they have yoga classes. We'll release them. That's in the New York Post. They're saying speech is connected to this. We need to shut down speech. And they're rolling out all this internet censorship and internet IDs this month. The current issue of our magazine just came out today. Death of the Internet is the title. They're making their move on every front right now to demonize their opposition because of Benghazi, the false flag, Fast and Furious. Listen, if they would ship more than 20,000 guns to Mexico, to criminal cartels, to then trace them back to crime in the U.S., to blame every gun owner, that's 170 million people out of 315 million. If they would frame more than half this country for the crime in Mexico and say it's your fault, thousands of dead in Mexico, hundreds in the U.S., including at least 7 police officers, Border Patrol, would they stage this now? And the answer is absolutely. If they would use al-Qaeda to attack Syria, Libya, Egypt, all these other countries and give them weapons, would they do this now? Would they stage chemical attacks and get caught 3 times this year? Even the UN admits it? Yes. If they would stage al-Qaeda attacks, if they would do all of this, would they do this to get our guns and blame the Tea Party that's sweeping in every runoff election and every primary right now? Defeating, in almost every case, 90+% of Republican incumbents are going down. 1776 is happening peacefully through the system. They want to start a civil war with the police. They want to march their operatives, their globalists. It may have even been cutouts who were told, you're part of a drill, come to this pizza place. This is a lot of times how they do it. Like the Zarnev brothers. One of them admitted CIA. That's mainstream news. In CIA-funded programs with fake names, the Russians blew his cover. And I kept telling you, they're getting ready to false flag, and it happens right in Harry Reid's district, right in his state, right in his city, with his police department. Now, the cops look shell-shocked. I don't think they're in on it. They probably, if I was them, I'd run patsies as part of a drill, special ops, probably foreign, kill them, shoot a few people, and then set the whole thing in motion. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones here, back live. The globalists have one way to defeat us. I say this every day. And I need listeners to go through all the YouTube videos, all the archives, and flood YouTube with Alex Jones predicts Las Vegas police killings. And that I would then be blamed after the Liberty Movement's blamed. It hasn't happened yet, but I don't have time to track it. They're probably blaming me right now on MSNBC. And I knew as soon as I heard yesterday, and then sure enough, the supposed shooters who are conveniently dead like to dress up like the Joker and like Skinny Man. And the Skinny Man, there have been scores of stabbings around the country as teenagers stab other children to death because that's what Skinny Man would do. That's how you become powerful. People are obsessed with comic books. Adults, I know, are. And they really think it's real. I mean, I go with my friends, you know, and see comic book movies, and I see grown men getting really excited and crying. And, I mean, this is mind control, ladies and gentlemen. Yep, raw story. Again, Democrat front group. Las Vegas Revolution shooters ID'd as right-wing conspiracy nuts with death wish. Boom! Look like hippie nerds to me. Not blame. Oh, Alex Jones. Boom, boom, boom. When was that published? I bet it was before I even got on air today. EDT. 30 minutes before I went on air, I'm being blamed. Democrat-run group gets direct talking points from the White House. Raw story, part of the whole globalist ring. Boom. I mean, what did MSNBC say? I am, quote, deeply racist, and did not show one single piece of proof because I'm the opposite. They hate the fact that I'm fighting the infanticide of black babies. They hate the fact I'm fighting Gardasil injection of Mexican girls in Mexico. They hate it. They absolutely hate it. I was down in San Marcos this weekend tubing with Dew and his kids and my kids, and it was like Cinco de Mayo down there. I think there was about 90% Hispanic Americans down there, and about every fifth person I went by was a huge listener. Other folks, Alex Jones, we appreciate what you're doing. Again, this transmission reaches everybody. Everybody wants freedom. The globalists cannot stand it, ladies and gentlemen. And I can feel the eye of Sauron upon me, and I'm in God's hands is all I can say. But I tell you, I have the enemy's number 100%. And I'm having a little gallows humor here, folks, because this is epically insane. I never wanted to be in this position. I don't like being famous. I don't like the incredible danger I'm under, quite frankly, at the very tip of the spear. And the enemy absolutely hates me. And the White House responds to us routinely and demonizes us. And, I mean, I have the enemy watching and listening to the show every day because they know I know who they are. And I know their game, and I know their plan. And my continued living, quite frankly, is that other people learn the enemy combination, the enemy paradigm, the enemy MO. Because if enough people pick up the enemy signature, the enemy program, the enemy operation, the enemy recipe, it's over for them. We can blow their operation wide open. Believe me, folks, Harry Reid comes out and says anybody who doesn't want these BLM land grabs is a terrorist. We're going to come after him, domestic task force. And then in his state run by him, he's the Don of Nevada. This happens, and they're connecting it to that on CNN last night and this morning, and now to yours truly. And you notice through the grapevine, other high-level people got the word in the so-called conservative media, you're going to be blamed with this unless you make a break. So they came out and they said, Alex Jones wants dead people. Alex Jones wants dead cops. Alex Jones is behind this. He wants murder. But I'm saying the opposite. And then now I come on air just a few weeks ago on 3 or 4 shows and said to protect myself, I said, I've got to respond to this host. They've been threatened. They've been told this is coming. And again, I know that because previously I know he was threatened with having a new Oklahoma City blamed on him if he didn't play ball. And he went on Fox News on one of his last shows and said they're preparing new Oklahoma cities to blame me and the Liberty Movement. That's Glenn Beck. And I sung his praises, played the clip, and I said he's got it. He's been threatened, folks. The Democrat memos say they need staged terror attacks. They need staged shootings. We've shown those here on air. So they think you're so dumb, they're running these operations out in the open. I mean, folks, when you understand this, the enemy's uncloaked. They're completely naked. We've got their whole op. I'm going to break it down when we come back. This is not a game. This is not entertainment, ladies and gentlemen. This is unlike any other radio broadcast that I think's ever really aired in this country. We are covering the globalist criminal takeover of the nation in real time. And because of that, we exposed the underwear bomber put on the plane by the CIA, had the eyewitnesses on the show, came out on C-SPAN and congressional hearings a month and a half later that that was accurate. We blew that operation. We continue to blow their operations, to short-circuit their operations, to blame the American people for incredibly rare, infrequent terrorism that kills less people than honeybees do every year on record. I hammered those statistics for a while, and then Esquire, in the same issue that I was in with a cover story last year, did a story about the honeybees killing more people than terrorism. That's the point, is that the media is listening, the dinosaur media is listening, the new media, the real media is listening. This show has incredible power. And I don't say that from a perspective of narcissism or a power trip. I think everybody who works here, everybody that listens to this show, everybody that carries this broadcast, everyone who is affected by what's happening should realize that this broadcast, even though it's ragtag, is reaching 20 million people a week now, one way or another. Terrestrial, shortwave, AM, FM, internet, YouTube. Governments are listening. From Japan to Syria, from Russia to the United States, it's come out mainstream news. Because we really do know the enemy operation. I really have studied it for 25 years, almost 20 on air since 1995. You do something 14, 15 hours a day. You talk to every expert out there. You get a very clear picture of what's going on. I live in a think tank. I live in a war room. And I told you, we've got to dig these clips up. I mean, it's every show that they were going to shoot police and blame it on the Bundy supporters. That they'd have a drill or something, and they've been having them in Las Vegas every week in the last month. They would shoot the patsies, have a few wind-up toy PR actors come out with the official story. The cops won't even know what's going on. The cops were really killed. The citizen was really killed. The so-called shooters are gotten rid of. And now you can project it on to who? Super Patriots, right wing, Tea Party, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Alex Jones. And folks, when you've got a website that has over 1 million visitors a day, All of our Facebooks, Twitter, you name it, about 3 million visitors a day conservatively. Prison Planet, all the other sites, prisonplanet.tv. Of course, almost everybody's visited Infowars.com. Are they going to go into every computer when somebody kills a cop and say, well, they visited ABC News, they visited DrudgeReport.com, they visited CNN? Why, they visited Yahoo homepage. Yahoo's to blame. Here's a headline. Daily Kos issues retraction of Infowars Poplawski smear, 2009. Within 2 hours of 3 Pittsburgh cops being dead when dishonorably discharged Marine Poplawski got another pit bull that was crapping all over the floor. His mother kicked him out, wouldn't leave, called the police because the dog was urinating and defecating. That's on record. They show up, he throws a fit, kills 3 of them with a semi-automatic AK-47. Within 2 hours, they have it on the news, Southern Poverty Law Center, local writer, saying his computer said he did it for Alex Jones. We did a search and found out he was a white supremacist sworn to destroy me. Threatened to sue the newspapers and others and forced 6 different retractions, including in the Pittsburgh paper. You understand? Within 2 hours of them having him in custody, they were blaming me because he had visited Infowars. And then we went and searched his handle and everything, and there he was on the white supremacist sites and the other Fed-run groups. A mentally unstable, drunken, unemployed, dishonorably discharged punk who dreamed of kicking my butt and attacking me and killing me, he said. And then he kills 3 cops, and I get the blame. Well, guess what? I forced a retraction there. And it's now reached the point, I want to warn everybody, I don't have time for lawsuits. I don't want to sue people. But I have to start suing people when they say I'm deeply racist or when they say I'm behind the Boston bombing. Because I have to say I'm not guilty of this, or they're going to teach the police in these briefing rooms, like I know they're doing, that I'm teaching the public to kill police, so the system sets me up and kills me or throws me in prison, ladies and gentlemen. And if they can get me, folks, they can get anybody. When they were trying to bring down Rush Limbaugh a few years ago, even though he's in direct competition with me in the same time slot, I went with Ted Anderson and bought $100,000 worth of advertising on Rush Limbaugh, and we lost a little bit of money, but I think we made like $90,000. It cost about $100,000. Why'd I do that? Because I put my money where my mouth is, folks. You understand that? We either stand up for talk radio and a free and open internet, and we either stand up for free speech. So I've got articles here where they're saying thought crime is terrorism. Holder's actually saying that. The guy who ran the cover-up of Oklahoma City as Deputy Attorney General, the guy that ran the false flag Fast and Furious and got caught lying about it, his own memo saying, we'll blame the Second Amendment and gun owners for the carnage. CBS News. This false flag, hardcore evil one has his White House run Media Matters and all the rest of them, Raw Story, you name it, lining up before I went on air today to blame who? Alex Jones. Talk about ominous. I said that and thunder, lightning, just I heard the thunder right above the office. How many false flag bats? 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's just getting out of control, ladies and gentlemen. And quite frankly, I'm excited. I'm of good cheer. I'm a person who loves God and loves justice and loves the truth. And I can be proud of what I've done. And I can say that we've been pretty darn accurate, trying to get things right, trying to tell the truth. We've got about a 98% accuracy rate. And the system knows that. And it freaks them out that I know them so well. I'm like an old-fashioned police detective tracking the serial killer, getting closer and closer. And There's this weird relationship between me and the establishment that is just unbelievable. I mean, they're all watching right now. The Pentagon's watching right now. Foreign governments are watching right now. The George Soros groups are watching right now and admitting they're watching. Why? 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 Because I'll tell the truth and other people won't? That's why I'm so attacked. That's why I'm so demonized. That's why they have all the megaphone groups and disinfo and bots and sock puppets, as they call them, online attacking. Alex is CIA. Alex works for the Vatican. Alex works for Israel. Alex is Bill Hicks. Alex is a Fed. Because they know I'm the opposite, folks. I work for justice. I get a real satisfaction out of standing up against evil. I get a complete fulfillment out of it. Not because I'm a hero, but because I won't be a slave. I won't sign on to this fraud. I see through the scam. I won't put my name on it. I'm in a fight for my life, ladies and gentlemen. And so are you. Make no mistake, the globalists have hated this country all along. They want to bring it down. I mean, look at these headlines on drudgereport.com. We'll put it on screen for TV viewers. America struggles with surge in child migration. Hundreds of thousands. As the third world just says, put your kids on a plane, Obama will take them. I mean, that's in the news. Come to America, have your baby paid for. Judge, government has simply chosen not to enforce border security laws. Yeah, I was down on the Texas border 2 months ago, and I told you, no border patrol. None. None. We were 90 miles outside the border, and I was going to get ready to gripe at them for knowing we're U.S. citizens and wanting to search our vehicle. They just waved us through. There was one guy, he used to be about 20. Agents threatened with firing after photos leak. Sheriff, feds should pay for housing. Feds drop plane loads of illegals in El Paso. You are free. You can leave. Hundreds more shipped to Arizona. I drove by a Home Depot this morning and was late to work, so I didn't pull over and get video. I saw literally, it looked like 100 illegals standing there. You wonder why unemployment's so bad? I'm not even against them, folks. The third world's collapsing under globalism, and the borders are wide open. This is the takeover. Growing concerns over diseases. Oh, yeah, leprosy, drug immune TB, you name it. It's here. Flesh-eating bacteria, all sorts of weird amoebas out of South America. No end in sight for dumping policy. White House launches program to provide lawyers to all the illegals with taxpayer money. Officers diverted from handling crimes. Cruz, Obama is lawless. Responsible for crisis. Cantor, time to strike deal. Yeah, the Republican leadership's going to come out and say, let's just capitulate because he's already legalized by fiat. You're seeing total lawlessness. Our military under NATO command. Al-Qaeda being publicly funded and freed. Prisoner releases that are illegal. On record. And Homeland Security in the sitcoms, the dramas, the cartoons, the news, the Patriots are going to start shooting cops. Guys in tricorner hats on Green Lantern cartoon killing cops. Shooting at cops. And I said, it's either going to be a staged false flag. You can see the pre-programming. A 2-year-old could see this if you were conscious. Or they know with their programming that there's enough suggestible people out of 315 mil that if you put enough of this out there, it's like suicide by cop. The more they advertise, go pull a gun on a cop, let him kill you, the more it happens. And you advertise, mad about what's going on, go kill a cop. You know, that's what they say in the media, not me. Then they come out and say, Alex Jones wants cops to get killed. Don't be with the Malcolm X. Be with the Martin Luther King. Be nonviolent. When we are nonviolent, offensively, we have a right to defend ourselves. No one can argue with that. And I've told the police this hundreds of times, and hundreds of times. Probably 400, 500, 600, I don't know. I'll say it again, and we'll mark it down right now. Here at 11:47, 35 seconds Central. On this date, Monday, the 9th day of June, 2014, that you are going to start seeing police vehicles IED'd. You're going to start seeing police shot up in restaurants everywhere. You're going to start seeing all sorts of attacks on police departments, you name it. And how did I know you were going to start seeing this? Ladies and gentlemen, when they put it out everywhere that it's about to happen and say when it happens, blame the Tea Party, and then it happens, and it's in Harry Reid's controlled state in his district, and he immediately blames it on the Bundys before anything comes out, and now it's blamed on me. It's so predictable. 2 + 2 = 4. They need the police and the military to wipe out the liberty movement, and we wipe them out. You notice the armored vehicles were no good against asymmetrical warfare. The Las Vegas police had those big, giant Homeland Security vehicles from Iraq there. It didn't mean anything. The police, under orders, stayed outside for over an hour at the Walmart before going in. The first beat cops ran in and started shooting, so the supposed people killed themselves. Who knows what's true? By the way, you saw Dorner, the cop, do this. Can we trust cops with guns if a cop goes bad? Was Dorner mind control? Was Dorner a setup? They weren't ready for it. It paralyzed them. They didn't blame the Liberty Movement. Maybe not. But let me tell you, this, with Jared and Amanda Miller, with the same M.O. of the Joker again, and the skinny man tying it into cartoons and comic books with no proof. The local Southern Poverty Law Center, ADL, they're always the usual suspects, start feeding the Democratic-run CNN, Raw Story, all of them, Alex Jones, Alex Jones, Alex Jones. Because I'm the one saying, do not go out and randomly shoot a police officer. I've been saying that for about 5 years because I thought, if I was the globalist, what would I do? I could see it in the movies and their internal documents. They were starting to promote it to the public, but telling cops it was coming, that the Tea Party was going to come out and shoot them and kill them, and that every small town will be IED'd. Every cop listening knows they've been trained in this in the last 6 years, that you will be attacked by U.S. military veterans. Total crud. So when it starts, that's the official story. It tells you... And again, if they hype it enough, there might be mentally ill vets or something that might do it. So you prime the pump like a starter plug, you know, where you sit there and press on the four-wheeler to put some gas in before you start it. The opposite of the choke. The primer. They prime it and do a few more copycat cop killer deals. There's so many people on serotonin reuptake inhibitors that are in a dream state, they will march out like programmable zombies and start shooting cops. And I estimate in the Civil War, 300,000 police will die. I estimate if the military marches out against the gun owners, 500,000 dead. 2 million dead on the side of the Patriots. Won't matter, we'll have another 10 million where that came from. But it'll be a real war once they start it. We've got to stop the Civil War. Stop the Civil War. Don't kill cops. By the way, we have a planetinfowars.com, simple, primitive, but it works pretty good, social network for folks to, you know, get together for dating, camping, shooting, art, you name it. And hundreds of thousands of people use it. Guess what? The media is now saying, the White House connected groups, that Jared Miller had a planetinfowars.com account. You know, I guess they're doing a better job this time when they blame me for Poplawski killing the 3 cops, and turned out he hated me. He reportedly wrote, the police, to kill or not to kill. You need to be a registered member to rate this post. And it says, I stand at the point in my life where I am on probation and selling marijuana. I take the urine, so see... Again, this is what I said. Is this someone pushed to the edge, over the edge? Is this someone under organic, ambient background mind control in the culture? Or is this a patsy? And we just don't know. But we launched Planet InfoWars back in 2012, and it looks like this was set up right when it was created. So that should be newsworthy. That should give them a lot of grass to make hay with. Let's do searches on comments under his handle. Now, well, I guess I didn't get through to him that it was important not to go out and kill random police and to work as hard as you can to wake people up in the community. And I will say this, when you have militarized police, why do the Vietnamese fight more than 7 different cultures, from the Chinese to the Japanese to the Americans to the French, that have taken them over because they want to be free? You have tanks, you have men in uniforms, you have guys in drill sergeant hats. This weekend, I was at a hotel Moody Gardens with my kids down in Galveston, and I'm going down to the pool, and I have one of the hotel pool, I'm one of the room towels, and this guy said to me, hey, you're not supposed to have one of those towels down there. You check towels out from them. And I said, okay, thanks. And he goes, they're going to tell you to take it back up to your room. And I went, okay. So I walk out, he's with his wife and his kid, and we start walking. He goes, what are you going to do with that towel? And I said, I'll just put it right here. There was like a table there in the hallway. And he was like, what are you doing? And I go, dude, are you a cop? And he got real mad. And he said, yeah, what's it to you? He was like a muscular guy with his wife and kid, a Hispanic guy. And I went, man, I just knew. God, just mind your own damn business, man. And the guy started to bow up. I was like, dude, you don't have your gun and your badge right now, man. I can tell when I'm on the hike and bike trail when it's a bad cop, on a kayak, you name it. They own everything. And most cops aren't like that, but they're trying to hire cops like that. And a lot of people are getting sick of it. They know you push the public hard enough, you'll get a real revolution. And I've said it doesn't need to be killing cops. But this whole thing looks like it's staged, and we'll continue to keep an open mind and look at all the angles. But it's Harry Reid's area. It's right after the Bundy deal. Harry Reid said there is this domestic terrorism coming. These people are terrorists. Let's play that clip.
So these people who hold themselves out to be patriots are not. They're nothing more than domestic terrorists. And I think that we are a country that people should follow the law. And what went up in Mesquite is not very good. I repeat, what went on up there is domestic tourism. Okay, domestic terrorism, not tourism.
There you go. Now, coming up, we got George Humphre in studio at about 10 after with us. Former city council member, best-selling author, good friend of mine. I remember working with him in 1996 on Pat Buchanan's campaign in 95 in the primaries. He's going to be joining us. Dinesh D'Souza, the persecuted #2 documentary filmmaker of all time, 40 million gross. He's been indicted by the criminal operation for free speech. He's going to be joining us as well. But before George Humphre comes on, we found a bunch of the clips from a month ago where I predicted the tragedy that just happened. We need a revolution of understanding and of nonviolence and of freedom. The globalists are going to start a physical revolution by pushing the people. Now, folks, I'm going to play these again in the next segment because some stations don't carry this segment. I do talk radio a little bit different than others. George Humphre, my old friend and mentor at many levels, is going to be in studio with us. But before I go any further, I want liberty and I want justice and I want freedom in this country. And I want to get our focus off the globalists because they're a joke. But they're dominating our society, so we have to focus on the things they're doing. There are so many beautiful, good things going on in this world, and that's why we who are positive have to focus on some of the negative so it can be identified and dealt with. Jared, Amanda Miller, we found their Facebook. We've tied it into planetinfowars.com. Blaming our social network is like blaming Facebook. I want that point made in the article Kit and Adon are putting together. The media, before that was even discovered, were already blaming me yesterday and today, we've now learned. I wasn't sure when I first started the show if I'd been blamed yet. I was blamed last night and this morning by Democratic affiliate-run groups. When I'm on record, and just in the last hour, the crew has been able to find a bunch of clips, John Bound and others. CJ, tell folks about some of these clips because I haven't even seen them yet. What's the first clip and what's the date?
The first clip we have is from April 26th. You were claiming to be set up, or the Tea Party group and Americans like is being set up to look like false flag terrorists.
Let's play that clip. I mean, I know I said over and over again they're going to shoot cops in restaurants. Let's go ahead and play that clip. Every once in a while, I get things wrong, and I admit when I get things wrong. I wish I was wrong about all this. It's not fun to have White House-run CNN, MSNBC, Media Matters, saying I'm deeply racist with no proof, and that I'm violent, and I want to kill cops, and I want a war. They're saying that so cops start thinking I'm a bad guy, so when they set me up, nobody comes to my aid. I'm being set up. But that's part of the mission. And again, that's just some of the preliminary clips they've been able to find. You've all heard it. You know I've said they're going to shoot cops in public places. They're going to blame it on the Tea Party to have Homeland Security come after the Liberty Movement. They officially launched the terrorism task force in all 50 states for the Tea Party, saying we're terrorists last week. This starts up. Now we found photos of the supposed shooter at Richard Mack events, you name it. I mean, this is going to get bad, folks. And what they have is they'll have an informant or somebody that goes to our events. Then they set the informant up later, kill them, and then blame us. And that's what's happened in false flags before. You understand that? They've done this before. Fast and Furious was a false flag. Operation Gladio, they did a lot of things like this. Operation Northwoods is how the U.S. Army would stage shootings in public places to blame their enemies. That was declassified in early 2000. What's the next clip, CJ?
Well, we've got one from the 19th of May here. You're predicting basically the same thing, which you've done hundreds of times. Here it is.
And ladies and gentlemen, more than a decade before they got ready for the Desert Storm and all that, they were already getting ready to set up Saddam by telling him to invade Kuwait and the rest of it, and the Iran-Iraq war. They were getting ready for Desert War. And now, for the decade, it happened under Bush, but it's accelerated under Obama, they are now preparing for war with who? Gun owners, veterans, pro-lifers, libertarians, Americans, good people. And so we're here covering this to force a debate about it. Because if there's a debate about this, they're not going to be able to do it. But it will be, they will stage a false flag, and then that will be preceded by the, quote, Civil War. They're going to blow up schools, you name it, blame it on the Liberty Movement. Then they're going to come after us in a purge. Then a real civil war is going to start. I think it'll kill probably 300,000 police. Yeah, and that particular clip I talk about blowing up schools. That's part of it, too. There's a bunch of clips where I say shoot cops in restaurants. Because I know how they work. I mean, they did that in Vietnam. They would kill some of our own troops sometimes. Well, we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. The borders are being completely opened. Worldwide, illegals are being told they can come here, dump their babies off, put them on airplanes, let them through customs. Obama gives them lawyers. It's a total revolution against the country to bankrupt it. Obamacare is meant to savage it. There is just total lawlessness, false flag attacks like Benghazi, and, of course, documented false flag, Fast and Furious. And over again, they have tried to frame yours truly for people that shoot cops. Richard Poplawski, in 2009, we forced a retraction by the paper in Pittsburgh and at least five other publications. Daily Kos issues retraction of InfoWars, Poplawski smear. But you notice you started hearing Harry Reid say about a month ago, there's going to be terror attacks, it's the Tea Party. And then they launched this Homeland Security in every town and city last week task force saying the Tea Party's about to start shooting cops and bombing police vehicles. The police need tanks on the streets because the veterans are about to hit them and hit them hard. With none of this happening. Now, that does two things. It means they're about to stage stuff, corporate, globalist, criminal, spy interest. And most importantly, they're getting ready to point Homeland Security at their political enemies. That's in the news today. And the former NSA director has come out and said an attack is going to come if you don't give up all your rights to the NSA from Al-Qaeda. While they're letting Al-Qaeda go, while they are giving them weapons in Syria, it's incredible. So we've got that report coming up as well from CNN. General Keith Alexander warned that the NSA, mired in controversy, won't be able to keep us safe, so terrorists will hit us. So if you don't give your rights up, you're a cop killer, folks. If you don't go along with the system, why you might be someone who wants to kill cops like Alex Jones, when I'm saying clearly in the propaganda, they're getting ready to stage bombings of schools, shootings of police, because it's in the movies, the dramas, and in the news with no proof. It'd be like if I was saying somebody's going to burn down the police department next week. Someone at midnight's going to throw a Molotov cocktail on the door. Well, either I'm the main suspect if it happens because I'm saying it's going to happen, or I caused the copycat. Or if you were saying that. See how it works? Mainstream media is saying the veterans are going to IED. You will be hit by veterans attacking you. The Tea Party's going to blow stuff up. West Point's main training mission is to fight the Tea Party domestically. That's Forbes, AP, Reuters. This is crazy. And then now it starts. Right as Obama implodes the borders. right as they implode the economy with Obamacare, right as they say our military is under NATO control, right as Bank of America starts announcing capital controls over the weekend. So much news in the feature archive I didn't even get to. Now, Dinesh D'Souza joins us in the next hour, persecuted, #2 documentary filmmaker in history, 40 million grossed domestically and worldwide with his Obama 2016. He had a new movie coming out to unify immigrants around being free market and not being socialist. He's been arrested. Total political persecution. We're all in this together, ladies and gentlemen. Anyone who's truly populist, anyone who's a true liberal, like Thomas Jefferson, and I see myself in that vein, anyone that calls for people to come together, anyone that talks about Americana is an enemy. Now, we've got all these clips of where I predicted, we're going to play them again, I played them in the last segment, where I said they're going to stage the stuff, they're going to attack police and blame it on us. Just in April, and then a month after that in May, because I see the programming. This isn't hard to do. And now, supposedly, Jared and Amanda Miller had a PlanetInfowars.com account. We've checked it. He used to live in Indiana. His Facebook says that, too. Is Facebook going to be blamed because he had a Facebook? You see? But before the media even found this, because we found it, they were blaming me last night and this morning. Raw story, you name it. Vegas shooters, revolution, shooters ID'd as right-wing conspiracy nuts with a death wish. Obsessed with the Joker, like the last 3 shootings. Then, obsessed with the skinny man that's stabbings all over the country. Am I going to be blamed for stabbings in this goth death culture that then meets anti-government because the cops beat them up? Are they products of the corrupt culture? Taking out their vengeance on the innocent police, which is despicable and a terrible idea for liberty? Or is it some type of setup? They were part of a drill. They were killed. We know that's happened before. We're looking at it all right now. My gut tells me this happened in Harry Reid's controlled area, Las Vegas. He's saying that we're domestic terrorists. They're tying it to Bundy Ranch with no proof, and now the proof is being provided afterwards. That sounds like a setup. Now, George Humphre is a best-selling author, documentary filmmaker, and has, is what I call a classical liberal. Liberal on many fronts, and what you'd call, currently liberal. But helped Pat Buchanan, was the head of his campaign here locally when he ran. I remember going to his house to get more yard signs or dumping them off there. And, of course, he's also a business owner, designer, inventor, successful entrepreneur. Again, he's been doing radio and Access TV. I learned about derivatives from his book on tape in like 1999. He predicted everything that would happen. We'll tell you about that book on tape, talk about Evergreen. But he joins us for the balance of the hour just to cover the waterfront. And George, it's so good to have you here with us. God bless you for being here. We haven't even talked before you came on air. I want to talk about this false flag. Do you concur with what I'm saying? What can you add to it? Where do you see all this going? It looks like they're dropping the hammer on every front.
Oh, first of all, it's good to be here, Alex. I love you. And I've known Alex for over 20 years. And when we were down at the little studio, when you were coming over to my house, the change that has taken place here is amazing. And I'm not blowing smoke at you. I just love you. You're egotistical, you're a loudmouth, you're tough, but you are a true hero. And I am so, when I travel around the world, and I spend most of my time traveling around Asia and different places, people all over the world, when I say I'm from Austin, Texas, they say, "Do you know Alex Jones?" And I get a big smile on my face, and then we have a nice conversation. All over this planet, people are listening to Alex Jones. And
that's not about me, though. It's just a benchmark of the popularity of liberty.
Absolutely. But it's also about you in that you have had the courage to speak the truth. You've had the determination and the willpower to stick with it, and you've had the smarts to develop a mechanism to get this message out. And so, and besides that, Alex,
well, with your help, brother.
Alex, besides that, behind all the gruffness, he's a really fun guy. I mean, he's really fun, and he knows a lot more stuff than he lets on. And so anyway, I'm really happy to be here. I haven't been on the show for probably over a year. I've been in Southeast Asia for most of the time. And, the bottom line, it's amazing that we even have to talk about this. You know, just 1 week after another, there's just one more false flag event after another.
And George, you could be part of the establishment. We don't brag about you, but I mean, your family are famous industrialists. You've been incredibly successful in clothing lines, real estate. I mean, I mean, you could be part of this system.
Well, yeah, and I have benefited in some ways from the system, but I also know that I love my family. I love myself. I love my country. I love Austin. I love freedom. I love this planet. And the bottom line is, I've been studying this stuff for 25, 30 years. And the reality is that not everything, but almost everything you're saying is right on. And we're talking about the sustainability, the life of this culture, the life of our families, the freedoms that are so dear to us, and actual life itself on this planet. So even though you are very strong about this issue, the issues that we're talking about are so much bigger than even 99% of the patriots of this country have any idea.
I totally agree. I mean, the rabbit hole is so deep. We are fighting just a force of pure destruction.
It's you know, let's just back up a little bit. There was a movie called Eyes Wide Shut with Tom Cruise in it, and it's a great title. But almost every day I go outside, and I always look around, and 4 out of 7 days there's chemtrails up in the air. 4 out of 7 days.
A strangle in the breeze.
They're all over. And almost every day when I see them, I look around and I look at the people, and 98% of the people never look up. They always either have their view about 7 or 8 feet down in front of them, but they don't look up. And then when you ask them, what are those things up there? The cognitive dissonance, their eyes go kind of glassy. And only about 1 out of 10 people will actually say, well, what is that? The fact that that we are being sprayed.
And they admit they're doing it. We know the names of the programs. We're going to skip this network break. It's incredible.
It is unbelievable. Friends, this is, you know, we can talk about so many things, but this is eyes wide shut right in front of us. And our own government is spraying toxic material right on top of us. And only about 1 out of 100 people are even aware.
And Bill Gates is in The Guardian telling us why he does it. Bill Gates runs the major program and gets money through the Department of Energy. And it's public, and no one even knows it's there.
And literally, you and I have seen them tiptoe, you know, put lines crossing like in a tiptoe pattern right across this. And I'll be out in the golf course playing golf or on the driving range or playing tennis. And I ask my friends, and they don't even want to know. That is the amazing thing. Everybody is being poisoned. The GMOs, the Tamaricel, la, and we're going to go into all of this. But the amazing thing is not the people, the people who are doing it to us. It is our own people who are so mind controlled. The cognitive dissonance is so strong, and the ignorance is so amazing that our own people are going along with the slaughter. They're like sheep going in to getting slaughtered. And it doesn't have to be that way. And the thing I love about you, Alex, is that you have this courage that is contagious. And it takes courage to say, no, I'm not going into the slaughterhouse doors. I'm not doing it. And you know what, friends? We don't have to. There's another way. We don't have to go down the yellow brick road and get wiped out. We don't have to do this. There is a better way. We can have a new paradigm. We can turn this thing around. We have the greatest country in the world. We have still a lot of great people here, and we have the answers. We have renewable energies. We have the economic systems that we can turn around, and we have the consciousness. And all of this, it's not about political or economic or media.
If people just awaken, it's over. Where would you say, George Humphre's our guest, where would you say, my friend, we are currently? Because there's a huge awakening happening, but at the same time, other people are getting deeper into control. Or then I have deep understanding, you have deep understanding. I catch myself even acclimating to the corruption and just going with it?
Well, we are in a, first of all, third, fourth, fifth, sixth dimension. It's all binary. There's all duality in these systems. And so for every negative, in what we call the negative, which is the tamarisol, the gun running, the GMOs, all these things, is that there's also the positive. And we have to understand that this is a free will universe, and that we as human beings, we can change. We don't have to go along with this poison, the poison of our minds. We, by first of all, listening to shows like yours, Alex, and getting objective information. And then we have to make a choice. Are we going to go down and fight with these people? Because we can't fix this thing. You know, like Buckman.
Can't fix it fighting. Well, you know, all I've ever said, all you've ever said is nonviolent.
Yes.
Don't be violent. I can see them pre-programming to cause a civil war. Speak to that briefly. Then I want to go through some issues with you because you're also an economist, I should add.
Yeah, and I've spent a lot of time in India. I've spent about 4.5 years in India, and Gandhi is, you know, I've lived at Gandhi's house, and I believe in what's called Satyagraha, which is nonviolent civil disobedience, and creating a new culture out of our own higher ideals. We can't go along with the existing paradigm, but we do have the tools, the wisdom, the ability to change things. And that's what you're doing, Alex. All these good products that you sell on this show, like Inner Food and the things that we can do to make ourselves healthier. So number one is get informed. Number two is love ourselves. You know,
by the way, about a year ago before you left town, you challenged me to get even healthier, and I have. I'm still not great, but it's a process.
Well, you know, your eyes are a lot clearer and your complexion's better than I've seen you for a long period of time. We can all get healthier. And the fact is that our slave masters, they're not my slave masters, but the slave masters out there, they want to pre-program us as human resources to, you know, tap out at about 65 or 70 years of age. And you know what? We have the ability.
They don't want elders around.
They don't want elders, but we have the genetic ability through the DNA to live a lot longer, and not only longer, but with a lot more vitality and a lot more fun. Because the three things that we got to remember is life, love, and joy. Life, love, and joy. And if we're full of life, having fun, and being with good people.
People aren't going to follow us. They're going to awaken right beside us.
Exactly.
And then that will change things in a chain reaction. I agree. But first we have to identify, and I want to get into some positive stuff with you, what the enemy's doing. What do you make of just the total lawlessness, legalizing all the illegals, telling people worldwide, dump your kids here, we'll pay for it, Obamacare, as you know, written. I mean, you're an economist, economist trained.
Yeah.
You know, you've run the city of Austin, your name's on so many buildings down here. Well, I mean, talking to folks, run businesses, you name it. What are they currently doing? Clearly, as a layman, they're trying to shut down the economy.
Well, Alex, that question, you and I could sit here for the next 3 days and we wouldn't finish it up. But one of the things you're talking about is that we now have 21 to 32 million illegal aliens in this country. Now, I'm not saying the illegal if I was a poor person in Mexico, I'd come here too. But the point is that if
there's a political weapon going on.
If I go to Mexico and I overstay my visa, guess what? I get fined or I get thrown in jail. And where I travel around the world and I pay attention to the laws of that country. And if we don't protect our borders, we have troops in 118 countries, and yet we don't protect our
Obama is advertising, come here, and the planes are landing every minute, and they're just and they just go right through customs. You're here.
It's amazing.
If I fly back into the U.S., I get a proctology exam.
And it's amazing is that this is going on right in front of our eyes, and it's politically correct not to talk about it. You know, you've been called a racist, and as I have been, and that is the craziest thing in the world. I've known Alex for 20-some-odd years.
But it doesn't even, I mean, the point is the whole world's imploding.
Yes.
Why do the globalists want to overrun the borders?
Well, first of all, because the United States is the last potential place of freedom. Our Constitution is an amazing document, and there are still good people in this country.
And folks from other countries have no idea.
They have no idea. And the people, the power elite, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call these people, it's all about power to them. They care not.
And they give them an ID to vote in California and other states. It's over. Game over. They're going to vote to take our guns, everything.
Alex, I know you've talked about this 10,000 times. There are 47 million people in the United States on food stamps. Think about that. 47 million
Almost
people.
50 now.
Million people on food. That's more people that live in most countries. That is 1 out of 8.5 people in this country. Now, here's
California and Texas.
Here's the crazy thing, is that there is even more money for corporate welfare than is going for social welfare. So we have this welfare on both sides, the right and the left, and you know, the people who are in the middle, the productive people, the people who have the small shops, the small businesses who work for a living.
You don't pay your taxes, a SWAT team's coming.
It is unbelievable. And I know that you've talked so many times about the IRS looking at the Tea Party and the conservative people who are opposed.
Political persecution.
Yeah, it's going on, folks. It's very real, and it's not right. It's so illegal, and yet because the people of this country have swallowed the blue pill, they've swallowed the blue pill. They don't care, and because they don't care, is the apathy. Is that the bullies? It's like if you have a bully keep pushing you, he's going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing until you stand up. And you might get your little tail get whipped, but if you swing back as hard as you can or kick him in the shins, he's going to stop it. Or, you know, better yet, you hit him right between the eyes. And the thing about this is that, Alex, you have never advocated violence in your whole life, but you have advocated, which I fully agree with, self-defense. And that is something that everybody should do.
Self-defense is not terrorism.
It is not. And even Mahatma Gandhi, who is my great guy, said it is better to die in battle in a war to defend your country than to die a coward in your country to the heels of your masters. So he was not for giving up. He was for strong, sovereign action to protect the self and the family and the country and the world.
Sure, he was saying at key points, sometimes it's better to be nonviolent when you're attacked to make the point that they're the oppressor so they can't have the fight they're looking for.
Exactly.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
And that's what we need to do. First of all, our big brothers, whoever you want to, they've got more weapons than you know what to do with. We're in this thing.
The Pentagon admits they can't win physical wars now. It's 90% info war.
We are not here to be martyrs. We're here to win this thing. I'm not here to be a martyr. And to win this thing, we have to be smart. And the first thing is to get the information out objectively so that people can understand. And it just like when you're selling something, you've got to repeat the name at least 7 times. Keep repeating. And I have friends every day who are waking up. You know, they're on the borderline, they're on the borderline, they're on the borderline, and then they'll hear you or they'll hear me or whatever, and then they get it. And once you go through that magic door, once you pull the curtain back and you see how wild this thing is, and I'll tell you what, friends, when I first started doing this, I was really scared about talking about this.
I'd say 95% of people didn't know the Federal Reserve was private.
But once you start becoming aware of this, your whole world changes, and actually it gets a lot better.
Yeah, it's fun to fight the tyranny. We're meant to do it.
Yeah, and it's not only fun to fight the tyranny, but to go off in a new direction and to have a better, healthier, more loving life. It's cool, Alex, and it is, you know, just being here. I love being here because it's so, my heart gets pounding.
George Humphrey's our guest. I'm Alex Jones. Stay with us. They're reporting another 230,000 children expected over the next 24 months.
Let me try.
As hundreds of thousands of children are already dumped as the word goes out. You put your kid on a plane, they land, they're in. And now Obama is triggering a massive crisis that is totally illegal. And then magically 2 cops get shot. And then the shooter supposedly gets shot, the guy and his girlfriend. Oh, and guess what's on his Facebook page? So easy to set this up. Facebook that works with you-know-who so closely. Alex Jones, #1. Alan West, Representative Alan West. We'll do a document cam for TV viewers, and I'll show folks this. And then it continues on here with, Rand Paul. about Jared Miller. And this links through to him saying he lives in Vegas. 3%er nation. Just Ronald Reagan. It's Ronald Reagan's fault, but the media is not picking up on that. The media is demonizing yours truly. So, two Ronald Reagans. Oh, George Washington. My gosh, it's all his fault now. The 2 cops got shot. So, the Heritage Foundation. Another Rand Paul. So there you go. It's all their fault. Jesse Ventura. Greg Palast, the liberal. Oh, my gosh. The marijuana. Oh, Governor Gary Johnson. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go to George here in just a moment. First off, I want to tell listeners about the fact that this hour is brought to you by the great folks at mypatriotsupply.com/Alex. Now is the time to have storable preparedness foods that last more than 20 years, non-GMO, super high quality, who I choose for my family. They've got a lot of other great preparedness items at mypatriotsupply.com/Alex. That's the place to go in my view. A lot of different packages and a lot of other, again, high quality products, 866-229-0927. Now, continuing here, folks, I get so wound up in the last hour, I didn't even plug anything. And that's where real radio advertising goes on, is during the show. That's when the main audience is there. That's why other talk shows plug in and out of each break. I end up plugging about once an hour. That's how we fund this truly independent, one-of-a-kind operation, where I've got all these other great reporters, all these other great hosts, all these other great media people who are being persecuted and having such a big effect, like Dinesh D'Souza. We helped him promote Obama 2016 because it was exposing the corruption. We're here as a platform for everybody. And it's essential that you check out the incredibly well-priced, high-quality products at InfoWarsStore.com. The ProPure G 2.0, cut out the glyphosate, fluoride, gravity-fed filters that annihilate all the competition and are lower price with promo code WATER. You get 10% off the additional, already lowest price out there. You can also go to InfoWarsLife.com. That is a subsection of InfoWarsStore.com to find the new Survival Shield X2 from 7,000 to 12,000 feet deep. No one else has this iodine. The true, pure purple crystals, not from seaweed. If you thought the old X2 was incredible, and we still sell that and it's wonderful and easier for kids to take, consult your physician. The new X2, if you dropped a drop of it on the floor before it's been put into the solution, would eat a hole in the ground. You're saying, wow, why do I want to take that? Well, the reason even the government used to put it in salt, not the high-quality type, was because this is in the halogen family. They put all the bad halogens, the fluoride, the bromine in the water, in the food, in the baking products, as it blocks the pineal, the glands, everything. This is how, I was so toxic, folks, and I was on the regular Survival Shield for a year. Made me lose about 15 additional pounds. I've been on X2 about 2.5 months, even before it came out. It has blown me away. I take it 3 times a day. You will detox the first month, so be ready for that. Consult your physician. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. 888-253-3139. We have the Super Male Vitality, just 8 natural, purified, concentrated organic herbs known to boost male vitality, libido. And the Super Feminine Vitality has those 8, but 2 more. Let me tell you, it really has an effect on the women. Regardless, you're supporting the broadcast, InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. Now, my good friend George Humphre is in studio. Written a lot of books on tape. If you want to plug any of those, feel free, my friend. I hope you write a new book soon. I know you've been very busy in all your other research. But, you heard me before I did that plug there. Talk about what's going on with this demonization campaign. You heard during the break, as we read from his Planet InfoWars comments, and it appears to be him, where he, says, I'm never going to shoot any police. I never plan to shoot any police. Funny that he says things like that. Now they say he's done this, but he's conveniently dead. He says, who knows anyone can trust anybody, really. I'm done for the most part, done talking. Hopefully people will follow my lead when I strike back with Luke and the Ewoks. This is the kind of stuff he's saying here. He says, looks to me like they want very specific ways of thinking for their slaves, so they'll show up and take the domestic terrorist away and they shoot police, they can turn to each other and say, see, we told you. So he's talking about the government shooting police. Or if someone fights back, because he's obviously a listener hearing where I'm saying don't have a civil war, don't shoot police. As the media is hyping, patriots are going to shoot police to turn the police against us, with the ADL and Southern Poverty Law Center telling them constantly, I'm doing this. I don't want to talk about me, George. I want to get into the world, positive things you see, the top 3 or 4 positive things, the top 3 or 4 negative things. Because if we don't identify the negative, we don't know what we're fighting against. I believe in humanity, know we can turn the corner, but we need to get out of the denial and admit that we're defending all this great stuff, but we have to admit what's going on if we have a shot at it. So I see exposing the evil as positive, but I agree with you, it's prima facie. For every evil thing, every bad thing, there's a good thing. Newtonian physics, for every action, there's an opposite.
Right.
And just as powerful reaction.
Well, what I like to do is I like to step back from it a little bit further. And I would like to just share with your listeners, and which many of them know, is that this situation, this rabbit hole, is so much deeper. It is so much wilder. It's so much crazier than 99.5% of the people have any idea about. There is a very wise man who once told me, life is an illusion, realize it. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a game, play it, and life is love, accept it. And the illusion, it's Maya. We're in a big holograph. And understanding, and not that I understand Newtonian physics, quantum physics completely, but I kind of see this life is a hologram. And it's what we create, our consciousness.
It just came out with mathematics. They found an invisible hologram holding the whole universe together.
In my mind, people are starting to get hip to that. And the fact is that we create our own realities. And those beings who are in charge of our political, our economic, our cultural, our ecclesiastic institutions, they are in fear-based consciousness. They want to control. They think that the only way that they're going to win the game is by taking from others. They are in fear, in limitation consciousness. And because I know you have a very strong belief in the Creator and in God, as I do, and I know that life is eternal. It's infinite out there.
There's nature saying the mathematics shows a clear hologram and an invisible force beyond holding everything together.
And it's so much more beautiful. But I am completely in agreement with you, is that the only way to get out of the hologram, just like in the movie The Hunger Games, is to realize what's going on inside. And we've got to play the game.
Exactly. It's a beautiful, wonderful universe. I don't want cops to get killed. I don't want a civil war. The New World Order wants that.
Absolutely. And it's all because of action, reaction, and solution. And these people, this has been going on for centuries. They create a problem, they blame it on certain people who are their enemies, like Alex Jones, and then the solution is more power for them. But you know what? We've got this figured out. We understand this week after week after week, you know, whether it's Waco or it's Ruby Ridge or it's Oklahoma City or TW Flight 800, all of these things, were created to create fear. And fear is the way that they control the masses.
Listen, they wrote Eco-Science when the year I was born in '74, the White House current science czar, admitting they put fluoride in there to brain damage us and make us fearful and weak.
You know, just the fluoride thing. As you said, I used to be an elected official. I was a city council member. And I go down and talk to our elected officials right now. And when they will talk, most of them will not talk to me right now. And I'm always very polite. I know all the right buzzwords. I wear my coat and tie. I call them sir, you know, and I'm very polite with them. But I take down MDs. I take down other dentists. I take down reports from, Harvard University showing that fluoride not only does not protect the teeth, but it is a toxic element within the body. And the cognitive dissonance, the fear, just even at the city council level, and it's not just Austin, Texas, it's happening all over the world.
Mayor Lee Leffingwell flipped our cameraman off from the dais. He actually held his finger up and did it.
Yeah.
When we were there on fluoride being polite.
And
why is he so demonic?
Well, we've had a series of mayors who are controlled by the downtown moneyed interest. And first of all, we have to understand these people are controlled. They don't even realize what they're doing. They don't have that much life experience. They haven't paid their bills. They haven't run businesses. They haven't talked to open-minded people. And most importantly, they are afraid of the truth. They do not want to give in. They want to keep control. Now, there are some new people who are running for city council, and this is happening all over the country, people like Laura Presley, who speak the truth. But the present city council, God love them, they're a bunch of cowards. And I say this with unbelievable respect. There's people like, you know, there's some good people down there, but you show them this information, and you say, whose side are you on?
The FDA said quit using fluoride as a pesticide 2 years ago, Wall Street Journal.
You see it on toothpaste. It says if you swallow this stuff, go to the doctor. I mean,
it's like the chemtrails. It's hiding in plain view. But getting back to consciousness and reality, I interrupted you with that.
But the point is that for every one of these beings who are afraid of looking at the truth, and we all know those people. They're members of our family. They go to our churches. That we see them at the coffee shop. Every single day, more and more and more people are waking up. They're listening to your show. They're coming to groups like the Circle of Intention. They're learning about life. They're reading good books. They're talking to other people. And we're coming together. And wherever I go, every day I have this conversation. You know, Alex, the number of people who come up to me and say, hey, I've read your book, or I've seen your movie, or I've seen you on Alex Jones, and then they just want to talk. It is so, it keeps my heart warm.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you think you're still alive and myself still alive? People ask that question. They don't want to do a highlight over what we've said. They don't want to put exclamation points behind what we've said. They don't want to create martyrs. But at the same time, they just want to assassinate our names. But I think a lot, and I know a lot of people in the system, they're scared as well. We have more allies than we know.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's not the government, folks. It's not even the average company. It's select groups that know how to manipulate people. We're all in this together. But why do you think we're still alive?
Well, thank God. I mean, first of all, I have a very, very strong belief in the Creator and the goodness of the Creator, and I.
That's right. We're protected,
and I do believe that we are protected. And I'm not trying to go, you know, hardcore religious or anything like, but I do believe that we are protected. I also believe that within the system there are good people who realize, you know, they know we're good. They know we're good people. They know that we're here to protect our country, to make our country better, to make our world a safer, more beautiful place, because they have children, they have grandchildren themselves, and they can see that if we continue down this primrose path, we're not talking about just corporate fascism around the world. We're talking about perhaps the extermination of large numbers of people on this planet.
That's the set goal.
Absolutely it is. Absolutely it is. And when Ted, you know, and they're really talking, because it's all about power, but it's not going to happen.
You've been in a lot of elite circles, and I've run into some in my years, and so has my dad. How often, when you were at a cocktail party years ago or playing golf with, you know, billionaires, whatever I know you have, do they bring up, we've got to get rid of the public, we've got to reduce the population? Because I know that's the cocktail talk in these groups.
Well, I used to hear that 20, 25 years ago. I don't hear that so much anymore. Occasionally I hear that, but I think more people, first of all, they know more about who I am, and so they watch their conversation a lot more. It's also because I don't hang out with those people as much as I just choose my friends different. I like being around more like-minded people. But you know what's really incredible is, like 15 or 20 years ago, these people wouldn't talk to me, and now they want to play tennis, or they want to play golf, or they want to come over, and more people are.
In the beginning, a patriot's a scarce man, hated, feared, and scorned. In time, when his cause succeeds, the timid join him, because then it costs nothing to be a patriot. Mark Twain. So you've gone full circle, being ostracized, and now they're begging you to come around.
Yeah, and you carry a sharper knife than I do, because you're at it day after day after day after day after day, and I choose my words a little bit more softly, but you and I are saying the same things. but more and more people, because we all realize it's all based upon the pyramid. And most of the people who are part of the power elite, who are in the pyramid, they don't understand the big picture. But because the grass grows from the roots and the grass is coming up, and they're starting to realize that they're...
I was about to say, some of the most controlled are at the last third of the pyramid.
Absolutely.
Not at the very top. They know what's going on at the top. But right near it are some of the most controlled, compartmentalized people. And that's what I know. My job is to shake people awake so they can then be decompartmentalized. Not to hear what I have to say. You wake up and take the red pill, baby. You can't be told about the Matrix. You got to see it.
Yeah, you've got to see it. But these people are waking up because they realize the folks higher up, they don't care about them. There is no loyalty in this group of what we call the Illuminati.
Look at the VA.
We've been looking at the VA for 20 years. I mean, you know, you and I both realize how inefficient it is. It's just totally, completely inefficient. And just like you talk about Obama, I mean, Obamacare is sick care. It is, all you have to do is follow the money. Look at the stocks of the insurance companies that
they exploded.
They exploded. The value of the stocks that deal with Obamacare, their valuations have exploded.
And then you buy into the sin and buy stock and make money off the eugenics and the death panels.
But there's a better way, and that's what...
I want to talk about solutions in two more segments ahead of Dinesh D'Souza. And listen, I know you're about to leave the country again, this time for South America. You've got to go in there and do 20 minutes for the nightly news, or as long as you want, uninterrupted.
Okay, great.
George, it's so good to see my friend George Humphre here. And we're going to give out websites, anything else you want to plug when we come back. Stay with us. George Humphre is my guest. A good friend of mine. You know, he said his books and videos are mainly out of print if you can find them. He's just, you know, busy doing other research right now. But I mean, plug some of them if folks want to find them on eBay or other places.
Well, my first booklet was called Common Sense: An Introduction to the
And the book on tape was world class.
Yeah.
Give me a copy of that. I'll put it on prisonplanet.tv.
Yeah, I've still got some of those tapes there. So, and the second one was Uncommon Sense: Your Choice, the red pill, blue pill or the red pill. And then I wrote one of the very first books about 9/11 called 9/11: The Great Illusion. And I made one of the first full-length documentaries about 9/11, 9/11: The Great Illusion, that Alex has done a great job selling. And it's, you know what? I looked at it the other day, and I made it 10 years ago, and it's still, you know, one of the better, you know, films out there. I mean, 9/11 is a slam. Anybody who doesn't understand 9/11 is not paying attention.
And it shows they'll do incredible hoaxes. And we're not saying the whole government, criminal networks.
Right.
Just like they got, but now they get caught, George. They got caught launching chemical attacks to blame it on Syria. And it even came out in the BBC. It was staged.
Of course.
I mean, but used to, that was like, oh, our government has no connection to Al-Qaeda, you traitor.
Well, it was all about a pipeline. I mean, you know, basically what it was is that the Rothschild forces wanted another pipeline so that Russia didn't have the only gas line going in.
Same reason they're going into Ukraine right now. It's the same story.
Exactly. And friends, always follow the money. And, you know, what you have right now is the Rothschild interest of Western Europe versus Putin. And even though, and I'm not supporting Putin because he's a gangster, but he's a really smart gangster. And if you ever listen to what he has to say, a lot of what he has to say.
Well, he put a guy on national TV, and they've asked me on the guy's show, and I just didn't do it, that they say is the Alex Jones of Russia. He has the big state where he runs the state-run media now. They basically say don't take the shots. They're putting stuff in them. It's eugenics. They pay people to have kids. I mean, the Russians have really, I think, turned a corner. I'm not saying it's not gangster run, but they want a large gangster force. They're not trying to kill their own people. The Russians don't hate their own people anymore, and they realize the Soviet system was a globalist program.
And by the way, the Russians don't put fluoride in the water. God, the Chinese don't put fluoride in the water. The Eastern Europeans and many of the countries in Western Europe don't put fluoride in the water, and on and on and on and on and on. And even though Putin is a gangster, he's somewhat of a nationalist. And, you know, it's always important to listen to both sides of a story. Both sides of the story. And, you know, what we're fed in the predominant media, it it just makes, you know, you and I have seen this. I mean, we know all the buzzwords, we realize it, and for 20 years I've just kind of laughed at it because it's so transparent. But most people, it's amazing. They believe this stuff. They truly believe this.
And now the elite go on CNN and MSNBC every week and go, we lie to the public.
Yeah.
Susan Rice came out and said, yeah, we lie, big deal. I mean, they now just say, Gibbs says, yeah, we lie to you. What is that?
Because they realize that the people are so, you know, you got to have courage. The home and the free and the land of the brave. Well, folks, the courage level, the vibration, the intensity of the American people has gone down so much. The apathy, the welfare, all the things.
And that's why this show's been successful for all its warts.
Absolutely.
Is it changes the wavelength, gets people out of their doldrum. Do 5 more minutes before Dinesh D'Souza on Solutions. George Humphreys. George Humphre is here. I'm always calling him George Humphreys. It's George Humphre. Known him 20 years at least, probably 21 years, and I call him Humphreys. George Humphre. George, Dinesh D'Souza is coming up. Hey, in closing, more solutions, because you've been a guy that's been very successful at reaching millions of people. You helped influence me a lot. What are some of your other points you give people advice on?
Okay, it's real simple, Alex. Number one is to get objective, real information. To read the right books, to listen to Alex, and to listen to stuff without freaking out. Because I'll tell you what, 15, 20 years ago, when I'd read this stuff, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I'd freak out. But you know what? Just to get the information. Number two is to take good care of our bodies. 37% of the people in this country are obese right now. Another 32% are overweight. So eating good food without GMOs, eating organic, getting enough exercise, being outside, being with the people who love you, not with the people you're supposed to be with. Go out with your dogs. Go to the lakes and go swimming. Enjoy yourself. Number three is whatever your spiritual practice is, deepen it. If you're a Christian, get to be a deeper Christian. If you're a Jew, get to be a deeper Jew. If you're a pagan, you know, whatever it is, find God, because God, the Creator, is everywhere, and the synchronicity is increasing. And then start understanding that this is not just a political or an economic issue. This is a time of metaphysical choice. And that is what is so incredibly wonderful. And it's not just a change of ecology. It's not just a change of psychology. Our whole solar system, our planet, because of where our solar system is now, and because, and this is a fact, we are getting now significantly more electromagnetic frequency into our solar system and onto our planet. And because of that is that the vibrations are changing, and we have the opportunity right now to change our way of life, to become more aware. And everybody has a choice to stay into the old third dimension. Remember that movie?
I had Harry Dent on, a former top Bain Capital analyst.
Yeah.
He said, oh, they all know it's really sunspots and space beams that manipulate the economy.
Yeah.
And then I went and looked it up. I'd read that before, and it's like mainline at the big Goldman Sachs, and all of them know that. The public doesn't know any of that.
Well, the reality is that most of the global warming or global climate change, I should say, is because of the sun. I mean, it doesn't take much to figure out. That's where we get most of our power from. And because not only are we getting more electromagnetic frequency, but we're getting more radiation and debris into our solar system, and the magna around the sun.
There's the New York Times talking about it.
Is reacting, and that changes, that affects our planet. Now, clearly, what man is doing on this planet, we are absolutely destroying this beautiful, beautiful planet, and that has to change right now.
And the problem is, just like with alternative energy, they bring out fake alternative that's a scam. They take over the environmental movement that you've been a big part of, and then don't fix it. Look at GMO. I mean, that right there is, the carbon dioxide's not the issue, it's GMO.
There are so many issues, and one of the things I really want to point out is that from the day I've known Alex, he has been a staunch environmentalist, but he talks about it in very scientific and real ways. He just doesn't go, the sky is falling. He said, let's really look at the facts, and I really appreciate that. So, but the important thing is to realize that each of us are our own creators. each of us have power. Each of us are sovereign. And as Gandhi said, in the heart of each man and woman is the seed of the universe. And when we realize that each of us have a contribution to make to our own evolution and to the world, and that we can and we must.
That's the essence of consciousness. We're here alive, creating art, loving, living. It's the ultimate adventure. George Humphre, thank you so much for spending time with us, my friend. Please go on the Nightly News tonight.
I love you. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, brother.
Hi.
Dinesh D'Souza is with us to the bottom of the hour. And undoubtedly, he is being politically persecuted. He has the second highest grossing documentary of all time, right after Michael Moore's film, set to release an even bigger film in July of this year. We'll see if that's going to still be coming out on time. He, of course, has been basically arrested, indicted, and for supposed campaign contributions. And I've studied what Obama's doing with the foreign contributions, the rest of it. It's questionable in my view if what D'Souza did was even illegal, but this is the way they've got the campaign finance laws. They're selectively enforced, giving money to his longtime friend in a Senate campaign. I don't want to waste our time on that too much. I want to talk about what the White House is trying to block coming out. His new book, Dinesh D'Souza, America, Imagine a World Without Her. A very provocative cover with the Statue of Liberty evaporating into ashes. Also a major motion picture. And this is what they're trying to suppress. So get the book, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have any stock in it. I intend to sell it. But get the book and make it a #1 New York Times bestseller. Of course, he's already a New York Times #1 bestseller. And he came to this country as an American success story in '83, became Pi Beta Kappa at Dartmouth College, went on to be a policy advisor in the Reagan White House, and again became a best-selling author, writer, researcher, and acclaimed lecturer. And he's one of America's most influential thinkers, according to New York Times Magazine. And that gets you thrown in jail now, ladies and gentlemen, if you get your friends to give some money to your friend who's running for the Senate. This is unbelievable. They're now in the news today saying Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Alex Jones are behind the shooting in Las Vegas with no proof. They're coming after us. And if we don't all hang together, we'll hang separate. I see myself as a liberal in the Thomas Jefferson vein. I'm going to ask Mr. D'Souza how he sees himself, but I know this. The so-called Democrats, and I've never been partisan, I'm a libertarian, are dangerous, are taking over, have opened the borders, aircraft are landing everywhere. AP's even reporting with little kids on board. The word is send your kids here. They're legalized by fiat. Obama's releasing Al-Qaeda type people outside of law. I mean, it's all happening. So Dinesh D'Souza is here, and in a time of universal deceit, telling the truth's a revolutionary act, to quote another great thinker, Eric Blair, a.k.a. George Orwell. So, Mr. D'Souza, thanks for making time to come on with us today. It was one of the producers of Schindler's List, who I know you're working with. I actually knew you were being indicted a day before through a mutual friend, but couldn't talk about it on air. And they were all really freaked out. And, of course, he said that he's never been afraid to live in this country until now. Matt Drudge has said everyone should have an exit strategy after what happened to you. I mean, I think we need to recognize that you're being persecuted, or it could happen to all of us. What do you say on that front? I know you're in court now. What can you say about the case? And we'll move on to your new film.
Sure. I exceeded the campaign finance limit by giving $20,000 to my longtime friend, Wendy Long, who was running really an uphill, even an impossible campaign for the Senate. I should have set up a PAC. There are many different ways to do it, so I made a mistake. But I think what's shocking to me is the way in which I see, not just my case, if I look nationwide, the way in which the Obama administration has been recklessly circumventing the law, from the Defense of Marriage Act on through immigration, turning the blind eye to guys on their own side who are doing shocking things. I mean, here's Harry Reid diverting campaign finance funds to his daughter or granddaughter's wedding, and no investigation, no prosecution. So this is a case where Lady Justice in the Obama administration appears to have taken the blindfold off and is kind of winking at her pals, and then kind of taken off after her enemies.
Very well said. What can you say about your case, where it's going, the release date for the film? I mean, I hope that this doesn't derail your film.
It absolutely won't do that. I have to appear before a judge in September to decide my fate. But the film comes out July 2nd. We actually open in Houston and Atlanta June 27th. That's kind of an early run. But the week of July 4th, on Wednesday, July 2nd, Lionsgate is releasing this film into over 1,000 theaters nationwide. So it's going to be a great 4th of July rocker. But it's also a 4th of July slap in the face to the progressives, because it's a way of looking at what they've been doing to America. We normally expect anti-Americanism to come from the outside, from the Nazis or the Soviet communists, or maybe from some Iranian mullah. But the most vehement takedown of America is now occurring within this country, and that's what this book and the film is intended to be an expose of.
Undoubtedly, they're scared of this film. I mean, you're not tooting your horn to say that. I think we're just saying prima facie facts here. But from your inside perspective, sir, I mean, do you agree with that statement, A? B, why do you think they're so scared of it?
Well, I would say they should be scared. And if they're not scared, they're going to be. 2016 scared them a little bit, because in 2016 I went sort of into the world of Obama. I was at his family homestead. I flushed his brother out of a degraded third world slum in Nairobi, and that upset Obama. We know this for a fact because Obama personally came out railing against 2016 on his website, barackobama.com. Now, if they were scared of 2016, wait till they see America, because America is a much more explosive, more powerful film. It brings the whole argument home. It's not just about Obama. Obama and Hillary are in the film, but it's about this vast progressive movement, which has, in a sense, made the long march through the institutions of elementary and secondary education, academia, Hollywood, the media, National Public Radio, the mainline churches. So sometimes while the conservatives and Republicans are huddling and trying to figure out, gee, how do we take back the Senate? These guys have basically taken over the commanding heights of our culture, and they're conducting a relentless indoctrination campaign against our young people. They're doctoring American history. So the film blows the whistle on this whole menagerie.
And you were talking about persecution of others. I mean, I've seen MSNBC, we played the clips, say, good, arrest the Tea Party. Good, don't let them be politically involved. Fox News has reported on Army memos at Fort Hood saying you could be court-martialed if you're part of the Tea Party or evangelical. I mean, this is stuff beyond Cuba, and they're just doing it out in the open, calling it liberal. I mean, I can't think of language strong enough to describe this group other than authoritarians. I mean, how would you describe them?
I do think that Obama has an authoritarian streak. I also think, from what I now know about him, and I've talked to his relatives, that he's an incredibly mean-spirited and vindictive guy. To give you a small example of how he is, when I was interviewing George Obama in Nairobi, I later talked to Obama's sister, and she goes, well, you know, we're having George followed. This is, the family is having one of its own siblings followed. And there's a paranoid streak going on over there. They look at critics not as well-meaning people who disagree with them, but as enemies who have to be, in some senses, put out of business. And so I think this is a very dangerous mentality. You know, we didn't see it with Clinton. We wouldn't have seen it with Jimmy Carter. Obama has, in a sense, represents a new low in American politics.
He's up the ante. In fact, that was an article I think I saw in Variety. We can pull it up on screen for TV viewers, but radio listeners, about a month ago. Didn't Obama's brother back out of the film because of threats?
Yeah, this was his other brother, Mark. So Obama's brother, George, is living in third world poverty. But Mark went to Stanford and Emory Business School and now lives in China. He's an entrepreneurial guy. By the way, he's very pro-business. He and Obama had a big fight over Obama's dad. Obama idolized the dad that he never knew. This other fellow, Mark, who lived with the dad, said, no, this guy's a terrible guy. He's an alcoholic. He beats my mother. So Obama has grown up in a fantasy world. And And he's never escaped the fantasy because he's been coddled all his life by sycophants and people who've told him what a genius he is. So he's finally come to believe it. He does stuff thinking he has an unerring political instinct, like this Bergdahl thing. Then it jumps up to bite him, and then he needs the media to start covering for him. So we're in an incredibly embarrassing political situation nationwide. We've got a total embarrassment in the White House, but no one can really say that because so many people in our press want the first African American so desperately to succeed that they're in a sense in a shameful task of covering up for him.
And they are scared of your film, undoubtedly. The good news is the book's already out, and I believe it's available now. I just got my copy this morning, so I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Tell us about Dinesh D'Souza's new book, America, Imagined a World Without Her. Okay, we just lost Dinesh.
Well, the book actually is the intellectual spine. Hello?
It's okay, Dinesh. Your Skype was breaking up a little bit. Go ahead and start over about your book.
Yeah, I was saying the book is the intellectual spine for the film, and it takes on the central argument of American progressivism, which is that the wealth of America, including your wealth, mine, all the stuff we have in our house, all this stuff right here, is based on theft. And this is an audacious, outrageous argument, but the whole idea is that everything we got is stolen. We stole the country from the Native Americans. We stole the labor of the African Americans. We stole half of Mexico. Capitalism is theft. So this idea is based on the notion that the federal government now is doing nothing more than restoring stolen goods. It has every right to take our stuff because our stuff doesn't really belong to us. Obama and Elizabeth Warren and all these characters have been hammering this argument now for 6 years, and it hasn't really been argued, it hasn't been taken on head on. So that's what I do in the book. I answer this wealth critique, and I make a moral defense of America and the free market.
Well, I haven't read the book yet, and I haven't seen the film, but when I saw the trailer before you were indicted, I mean, I got a pretty clear guess of where it was going, to really look at all the different sides, but to also point out this was the age of conquest when this country got formed. It was all different sides battling each other, different native groups against other natives, the French with one native group, the British with another, the Spanish. I mean, it was just ongoing. There were 6 flags over Texas. You know, the American system was better than all the others. That's why it prevailed in an age of barbarism, and I don't romanticize it, except for the fact that in an age of squalor, it was heads above the rest, and the ideas of freedom were never fully realized then, and still haven't been realized, but the attempt to realize them created the greatest liberty and productivity the world's ever seen.
The idea of wealth creation is itself an invention. Historically, people got wealth by taking it from other people. It reminds me when I was a kid in India, I'd go to school with like 10 marbles in my pocket. None of us had any money, so the only way to get more marbles was to take somebody else's marbles. America came up with a different idea, which is that you can make stuff. You can make silicon out of sand, so you can, through innovation and technology and creativity, generate new wealth. Now, when the white man came to America, and by the way, you know, people often blame America for Columbus and for the Spanish conquistadors and for what the British did. Let's remember that Columbus came in 1492. That's 200 years before America. So America gets saddled with all these crimes that preceded America, and yet when the Europeans came here, every Indian tribe, just about every Native American tribe that was occupying land had in fact seized that land by force from somebody else. So that this conquest ethic, as you very aptly call it, was on both sides. And what America brought into the world was an alternative to conquest. So what's going on in our schools is what I call the shaming of America. And it's a progressive left-wing scheme to rip off America. You need to shame people and make them feel a sense of guilt so you can slam them up against the wall. When you come to take their TV and their couch and their car, you then accuse them of having stolen goods. And this is sort of the racket that I'm blowing the whistle on in this book and in this film.
Exactly. They project all of these distorted crimes, some of which happened, some of which didn't, on people hundreds of years later. I mean, that's beyond the authoritarian idea of your neighbor steals something in the old Soviet Union, so you get sent to the gulag too. It's beyond that. It's so outrageous. And now 7 billion third world people, if we took the smartest and the best of the world from all over the planet, from Japan to India, from Russia to Germany to Mexico, from Africa to Nigeria, wherever, that would be great, like Switzerland has done. But instead, if you're poor and have leprosy, or you want to have your baby for free, or you're poor, put your kid on a plane, Obama will take them. This is like a military attack. And now we have a federal judge today saying Obama's not enforcing the law, and another 230,000 kids are on the way. Mr. D'Souza, this appears to be a full-out, this is so over the top, I can't even believe this is happening.
You know, I'm an immigrant, and I love America. As an immigrant, I always knew I was coming from the corner of the world to the center. I always came here to embrace the American dream and the American way of life. Far from sort of turning America into a sort of ethnic smorgasbord, I always wanted to assimilate to the high principles of America. And what's strange now is the way in which what the Obama people seem to do is they don't seem to want productive, creative immigrants who are going to, in a sense, pull the wagon. They want guys who are going to come and sit in the wagon. That's because that's their people. And so we are living in a morally inverted society in which Obama goes to the people sitting in the wagon. He goes, "You're the most morally wonderful people in America." And he looks at all the people pulling the wagon and he goes, "You're greedy, you're selfish, you're materialistic. You got to pull harder." So think of what this does to America's morale. It basically convinces people who are pulling the wagon, gee, maybe I should go sit in the wagon because life seems to be a lot more comfortable in there.
Isn't this classic Cloward and Piven? I mean, I know Cloward and Piven came out in the 60s, but the communists and socialists had always wanted to collectivize farms to control the population, control the food. I mean, it was always about control. And really, I mean, I think the evidence is overwhelming. They want to wreck the economy to then control it. They want to break eggs to make an omelet, to quote Joseph Stalin.
You know, I think where the Republicans are out to lunch is that they say, oh, you know, these liberals, you know what, they're well-meaning. It's just that their policies don't work. And then we get lengthy exegesis about how Obamacare doesn't work and the capitalist system is good and too much regulation is bad. Look, the thing we don't realize is that progressivism is driven by very powerful human motives, primarily the motive of envy. Obama is seeds with envy and resentment. Part of the reason is he doesn't want to live in a society where the entrepreneur is at center stage. The entrepreneur has skills that Obama does not even begin to have. Obama couldn't even begin to invent the iPhone. In fact, the guy can't even put up a website. But Obama does have other skills. He can work up a mob. He knows how to mobilize resentment through his community organizing or resentment organizing skills. So Obama would like to see a transfer of power away from the productive entrepreneurial class toward the resentful intellectual and political class. And most people don't see that. They think that he's basically trying to divide up the pie fairly. But it was Alinsky who instructed Obama and even Hillary, listen, always go after power, but pretend to care about morality. Master the language of fairness so you can get everybody to go into a stupor. And in the meantime, you relentlessly engage in a Machiavellian pursuit of power.
I think we're coming full circle because obviously the American system wasn't perfect. If you study the real history from the French, German, British, Native American perspective, I mean, it's pretty much what you're putting in your book, coming out in your film. It's just the reality of looking at the time people lived, that it was a free market system mixed with the old conquest, but it was revolutionary that we were bringing the flower, the tail end of the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, into a new world where the frontier could be pushed away from government, where real freedom could flourish, and everybody wanted to come here from around the world because you could transcend your caste, transcend, the group that you had to be what your dad was if you grew up in Italy, say, or you grew up in Germany, and you could be whatever you could really do, and it was about what you stood for in a free market. They're now calling it liberalism, but it's the opposite of Jefferson because it truly is mob rule and ideology over true free market. It is the purest, most sickening gangsterism I've ever seen. And I got to say, sir, I've seen a lot of interviews with you, had you on the broadcast before, but since you've been persecuted, you've gotten more focused, more hardcore, and when we're facing the radicalism of the kleptocratic authoritarian left, we need to raise our rhetoric to the level of reality. And you've been very gentlemanly, very scholarly in a lot of shows I've seen. Lately, you've been on fire, and I think that's because you've now gone through a new level of persecution. And I think if the socialists think that we're weak, they have no idea as they try to really persecute us what is going to happen. What do you predict for America's future? Do you think now, truly seeing the face of socialism and progressivism, that we could have a new golden era of Americana again?
I certainly think that we can beat these guys. You know, when I was in college, my professor once told me about the story of the lion tamer and the lion. And so here's the lion tamer with his little stick prancing around, and he gets the lion to do exactly what he wants. But the professor said, wait a minute, Dinesh, who is more powerful, the lion tamer or the lion? In reality, the lion is more powerful, but the lion doesn't know that. So the progressives are the lion tamer. They think they have us intimidated and cowed. They think we're going to do whatever they want. But we need to realize that the real power is with us. We actually outnumber them. And if we'll be organized and fight smart in the way that they do, we'll crush them. So yes, I have, to some degree, if they've been trying to silence me, they totally have picked on the wrong guy, because that's not going to work with me. And it only redoubles my enthusiasm to be determined and outspoken in speaking my point of view. So yes, this film is going to be a real weapon, if you will, in the war of ideas. And they have every reason to be alarmed, because when people go in the theater and see this film, they're going to be blown away by the hidden history of America that is factual, but is excluded from the textbooks because the progressives don't want us to know it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm part Native American myself, so I'm not demonizing them, but they would come on the East Coast and say to both sides, the French or the British, if you don't help us, we're going to wage war on you and destroy 20 towns. I mean, you're going to help us go kill this other group of natives, because they were acting just like Europeans. People are just people. And just to deify Native Americans and act like they're God is just another progressive fraud. DineshD'Souza.com. Is that the best place for folks to find the book online, sir?
Yeah, the book's available. BarnesandNoble.com, Amazon.com, certainly DineshD'Souza.com for all kinds of information. Our movie, AmericaTheMovie.com, and look for it July 2nd. It's
all
going
right,
to be
Dinesh, we're out of time. Promise to come back when the film comes out.
Love to do it, Alex.
A true political prisoner. Thank you so much, sir. They want to make him a political prisoner, folks. He's a cause celeb for the First Amendment. Dinesh D'Souza, God bless you. Thank you so much. We'll be back. All right, folks, we've got the Las Vegas Police Department and Sheriff's Department clips here. And the globalists have been building up a war. They've been building up tanks, helicopters, weapons, literally drilling against George Washington himself in the training manuals, bad-mouthing the Founding Fathers. The Founding Fathers wouldn't be welcome in the military. If you're not a communist, you're not good. There's a lot of pressure in this country. There's a lot of unstable people. And Jared and Amanda Miller were the classic type that wanted to be somebody, kind of like natural-born killers, if you believe the picture put on the internet that anybody could be framed with. I personally have had people put up fake websites of me, fake audio, edited video. So I've been through this a lot. I don't just believe a criminal government that staged Fast and Furious and so many other events and that funds Al-Qaeda. But they are now all over the news. If you type my name into Google News, trying to connect me, Ron Paul, Rand Paul, you name it, to this. And they were doing it last night before anything was even found. And now they're saying, yes, they were at the Cliven Bundy Ranch. And yes, they're part of the white supremacist sovereign citizen. They mix white supremacist in with sovereign citizen, and then that's a label they put on anybody that's basically not left of Lenin. So here is a clip of that press conference. And I want to open the phones up to you out there to get your take on what you think about this. While, again, honeybees kill 200-something people. Wasps kill hundreds of people every year. Deer jumping out in front of cars kill over 300. I mean, you know, cops, #1 cause of death being dying in automobile accidents or being hit while they're writing tickets. You know, they're gangbangers that shoot cops for no reason. You know, cops not one of the most dangerous professions. It's not like a Navy diver or something, but it can be a dangerous profession. I don't want that job, especially with the type of federalization you've got, what they're being told to do. But I've said it before. I mean, as for a restoration of this republic, a intellectual velvet revolution, the police, even though we see bad videos of them and bad examples and bad apples, despite all the things the system's doing, they've been bucking the system. And they're more pro-gun than the general public by light years. They're more aware of what's going on because they understand criminology and things, especially cops that have been in a while, who aren't just out writing tickets. And the military is the most awake group. I mean, just 80+%. Then you've got the police. I mean, I got to say 50, 60, 70%, maybe higher. Secret Service. I mean, if I'm in a restaurant, there's Secret Service in there. I can't stop them buying me food and drinks. Federal marshals, same deal. And then you're like, I'm getting mad at these people all day, talking bad about them. And they're all, oh, we know, we know. I mean, I was down at the federal building for the JFK thing, and the feds were like waving, hey, Alex, we like the show. And the security guard, federal security police, are actually police and all this other stuff. But then it didn't matter. The Dallas police were listeners. So they hired a group of thug auxiliary bouncers dressed like 6'4" guys on average, dressed up in sheriff's department outfits that are openly Democratic Party to literally beat people up for no reason, just so they could, So I've said this to everybody. I know people are mad about the system, bad about the corrupt courts, mad about not being able to pay your bills, and then the cop pulls you over and gives you a ticket, whatever. That's no reason to kill somebody if this was real. It has a lot of signs it could have been staged. I don't know. But if people want to lose to the New World Order and the globalists, they will start when the globalists stage more of this or wind people up to do this and the cops start getting more brutal to the liberty movement. If the public goes crazy when that happens, it'll be a civil war. So I would tell the police, and I think most departments are smart enough to know this, if you go out picking fights with people that are in the Tea Party, picking fights with people that are in the liberty movement, who statistically are the most law-abiding citizens out there, you can pull those numbers up, you're going to have some kind of comic book character, DC Comics type, goth pib, and I'm not against goths or pibs, but you know what I mean. Look at most of the mass shooters have been into goth death and comic books and shoot 'em up video games and nihilism and drug culture. And this guy's Facebook and his other pages on planetinfowars.com, that's what they basically said they were into. They were desperate. They felt disempowered. They felt powerless. And so they went out and found some Las Vegas cops to kill, if you believe the official story. Which, again, we don't know if it's true or not. The most senseless, pointless, mindless, stupid, loser, just the worst thing you could do. I mean, why not start following Harry Reid around to his different luncheons and stuff and call yourself press? You are. Start a website, put advertising on it, use the enemy's own system, Google ads on it, and finance yourself exposing them peacefully. And I mean, they'll hate you. There's nothing they can do because there's too many of us. This happened in Harry Reid's territory. It happened right after the Bundy Ranch thing. You knew they'd pull something. I said they're going to pull a false flag, probably shooting cops. And I know I said that probably since Bundy Ranch thing 100 times. In the last couple of years, 300, 400, 500 times. You've all heard it ad nauseum. I'm sure you're sick of hearing it. We'll find the clips. We found some of them, but not the specific ones. Because if I was the globalists who are willing to stage all these other false flags, I would have black ops grab these people out of their houses to set up patsies because they fit a profile with their emails, get them in the back of a truck, march them into the Walmart, shoot them both in the head, have an inside job security guy in the Walmart turn the security camera off in that area. This is just one way to do it. I'm not saying this is how it was done. This is just one way to do it. And then you have people, I bet they were dressed up, whoever did it. That's the disguise. The Joker and a lady shoot the cops, then go in, shoot one more for good measure, and then right at the same time, 1 minute later, again, they don't even know why they're there. They get shot in the head. Or maybe they're drugged and you bring them in. Or maybe they're organically produced by this sick society. I don't know. But because some guy wants to dress up in a clown outfit and kids and Mr. Skinny outfits, just because they want to do that, and then go around killing people. I don't need to lose my butcher knives at my house because you've got kids all over the country. Let me find the article right here. Going around killing people, saying they're doing it for There it is. Wisconsin girl stabs 19 times by friends, leaves hospital after telling family she wanted to live. And then again, they do it because of the comic book character, the Slender Man, saying skinny man. And then a 12-year-old stabbed, all this stuff. I mean, the guy with the Hunger Games director supposedly killed 6 people and then himself 7. 3 of them were stabbed. That was like buried in the news. Who knows if any of this is real? And you notice Dianne Feinstein has introduced a bill to get family members to rat on each other over guns. And if a family member just says they're concerned about it, not even that you made a threat, your guns are gone. To the end of the Second Amendment, Feinstein and Boxer introduced a bill to rat out family member with a firearm exploiting Isla Vista shooting in a new bid to confiscate firearms for American citizens. California Democrats Senator Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer are exploiting the shooting in a new bid. The Pause for Safety Act will allow families. This guy had the police called like 5 times on him, all sorts of stuff, been saying he was going to kill people, if you even believe it. Families and others to seek gun violence prevention order in court will allow police to confiscate firearms from people who have not committed a crime and may not necessarily pose a threat who have made threats. I mean, that is just such a big deal. What is your take on this latest event and the fact that yours truly is now being blamed by the usual Democratic Party front groups? I mean, how are they going to try to set me up? They're already trying to put Dinesh D'Souza. He has multiple charges. Each one of them, I think, carries 5 years. One of the charges carries 10. I know I read that. This guy's facing all these years in prison because he publicly went and got 4 of his friends to bundle and give $20,000 to a lady in an uphill battle in the Senate running for Hillary Clinton's seat in New York. They wait all these years to come after him. And he's like, I must have made a mistake, because you can go set up a PAC and give $1 million. I mean, I mean, they're literally legalizing all the illegals and saying, come here if you have poor kids. Just have your kids, you know, whatever. And that's fine. But Dinesh D'Souza is facing prison. It'll just make his film bigger. It'll just backlash against you. I want to hear from folks out there. You know what I want to hear from first before I give the number out? What if you're a police officer? I mean, what do you think about this? I mean, statistically, they want you to be totally afraid where you shoot citizens for no reason. You think everybody's trying to kill you every minute. I mean, statistically, your chances of having someone randomly walk in and shoot you are just astronomical. What are there, a couple million cops total in this country? A little over 2 million police. It's gone up from less than 1 million 10 years ago. And you might have, what, a few dozen a year that randomly get shot, usually by gangs. Most of it happens in like Oakland and Chicago. And then now they're going to say the Tea Party's behind this and try to start some fad. I mean, do you agree with me or disagree with me? Military. I like to hear from active duty military as well. I mean, have you heard me on air say this was coming? Even if it's not staged, hyping that people are going to start killing cops everywhere randomly, the Tea Party is putting the idea out there, folks. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. We'll take calls in this next segment, one segment of Overdrive, and that's it. Briefly, please do not forget that this entire transmission is supported by the wonderful listeners out there who stand for nonviolence, unlike the people they're demonizing right now, whether they did it or not. And it is essential to realize that the tip of the spear is Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com and everything we do with the YouTube channels and PrisonPlanet.tv and all of it. Become a PrisonPlanet.tv member. 11 people can use your username and passcode your membership. Tell friends and family to tune in. Download material off of it. Air it on Access TV. Repost it on YouTube and other video channels. Reach out to friends and family. If you're listening to us on AM and FM dial, tell friends and family and coworkers and random people at the grocery store, hey, I'm going outside to listen to Alex right now on this station. Check it out. It's really important information you won't hear anywhere else. PrisonPlanet.tv, $5.95 a month, 11 memberships for the price of one. You can't beat that. PrisonPlanet.tv, PrisonPlanet.tv, PrisonPlanet.tv. Then there's also, of course, InfoWarsLife.com. And it's changed my life the Nation iodine that was proprietary turns blue with the actual purple crystals in the first type we have. We have the new type that no one else has from 7 to 12,000 feet in a U.S. mine that is the purest form of iodine known to be out there. The pure crystals put into the palm oil organic solution that is unbelievable. For me personally, what it's done for my memory, my way I feel, everything. You've heard the rave reviews. There's video of Rob Dew at the factory in Arizona at the laboratory that we gave you a tour of Friday when David Knight did a great job sitting in, co-hosting the show. It's incredible. Survival Shield X2. And regardless, when you purchase a bottle of it, you are supporting the transmission. So take the InfoWars Health, InfoWars Life Challenge. Get Survival Shield X2 today. Get the Super Male Vitality, the Super Female Vitality. Super Female has sold out, but we're getting more in 2 weeks. So if you want to pre-order that and get it first, it's available. We have the Super Male Vitality in stock right now, organic, concentrated. From the research I've seen, it just blocks the estrogen mimickers and helps get your glands going like they should. Amazing. In fact, I'm going to take a big swig of it right when the show ends or during this break. In fact, I'm taking it right now. I already had my Super Male Vitality at about 5:30 this morning when I got up. I had a lot of stuff to do this morning. But I'm going to take some right now because it is absolutely awesome. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. And we just cheerfully go in, through, and beyond into the New World Order black hole here. And it really is up to you out there how fast we grow and what we're able to do. I'm fully committed. So I'm saying energize us, spread the word, support our local sponsors, become a local sponsor for local AM and FM stations. Let's get aggressive and value this type of uncompromising, hardcore, truth-based, liberty-based system. Media matters. White House run. Alex Jones alleges that Las Vegas cop ambush was absolutely staged by Harry Reid and other conspirators. No, I said my gut tells me it's absolutely staged. That's in quotes, absolutely staged. I'm not specifically saying Harry Reid did anything. We all know he's a sweet little old man who walks old ladies across the street. Well, tyranny loves company when it comes to demonizing people. Raw Stories now demonizing myself and Breitbart. So Breitbart thought they'd toady up and run some of the disinfo that I've been promoting violence and stuff. And now they're being set up. See how that works, trying to be friends with the Democrats? I mean, the Democrats, folks, I've always been nonpartisan. They're trying to take over right now. And they're authoritarians. And look at how they screw poor people. I want to go to your phone calls. Rabbit, Julie, Jerry, and Roger. And, again, when I don't want police to call in or I don't ask them to, we get full lines of police. I don't think any police have been able to get through or called in. I want to get their take on this. But America's filled with a lot of weirdos now. And when the Depression fully hits, it won't be like the 1920s and 30s, folks. This country's a time bomb. And if I was the police, I wouldn't be trying to follow Media Matters, White House spin to have war with the Tea Party and the veterans. They want to sit back while we all kill each other. Let's just not do it. And again, I'll say it for probably the 500th time. You don't go out and kill police. Yes, that's something that the French resistance did to Nazi police in France. But that's not, our police aren't Nazis. They're misguided in many cases. They're globalist controlled, just like the bank down the street might be. You don't go shoot the teller because, you know, Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan is corrupt. I mean, it's the same deal. It's insane. Let's go to Rabbit in Wisconsin. What's your take on all this?
My take on this Vegas shooter, along with what happened in Waukesha, is how you were saying earlier. It's all MK Ultra, MK Naomi mixed in with satanic possession. And it's reflecting the culture we created, and we're reflecting right back into it.
Yeah, I see women just everywhere with cuts all over their arms now. I know cutting's been big for a while, but it's getting epidemic. I mean, am I to blame for that? I mean, it's just a bunch of weirdness going on. And can you imagine if a full-bore depression hits and the welfare checks don't make it? Can you imagine the explosion that's going to happen? Of course, I'll be blamed.
Well, these type of things are just going to happen more and more often until it's just so overwhelming, and then people will just bend over backwards and accept any sort of panacea the government dishes out. And I think that's what they're setting the stage for. I think it's important to stay calm and level-headed and really kind of focus in on getting yourself right, getting your family right, and making sure you're not only prepared, but you're at peace.
I mean, imagine walking into a pizza place cold-bloodedly and just shooting 2 people in the back of the head. I mean, it's just insane. I appreciate your call. Of course, imagine burning up a church full of little kids at Waco because you wanted to kill their parents. I mean, it's evil. Waco's wrong. This is wrong. Julie in California, go ahead.
Hey, Alex, how are you? This whole thing just stinks. I mean, the guy who apparently did this, Jared Miller, you know, I guess he cultivated marijuana. He was on probation. He did jail time, I guess, in 2013. It's all on his Facebook page. But
yeah, you're going to have gang mentality people that latch onto the Patriot movement. It's inevitable. Just like gang people get in the military, or just like a cop ran around, you know, in California shooting people. It doesn't mean all cops are responsible for Dorner. Go ahead.
Not, but I mean, they're trying with a broad brush to paint everybody the same color. And it can't work. It cannot work. The NRA has really got to get out and get ahead of this message and say, hey, look, there's a problem here.
No, the message is a crazy guy with a gun killed a bunch of cops and shut down Southern California. Cops aren't to blame. Next, even if it's true, crazy guy, whether it's staged or not, sure stinks like it, shoots 2 cops. You know, not everybody in the Tea Party's fault. I mean, it's that simple. We don't let them cause a civil war. That's the goal. That's the goal. Overdrive coming up. Thank you, Julie. Paul, Roger, and Jerry. We're going to jam you all in. Maybe Eddie if we have time. Back in 70 seconds. Overdrive. Well, anyone right of Satan, if you use the left-right false paradigm, is now being connected to the shooters who dressed up like comic book characters. Nobody will talk about that. Why do the people keep dressing up like that when they kill people? Let's go to Roger in Nevada. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Alex. I have the Las Vegas Journal newspaper in front of me, and they have right here, it says 2 Las Vegas officers, bystanders slain. It says shooters in ambush spoke of white supremacy, desire to kill police. And it said in the second paragraph of the newspaper, I'm just going to quote it for you. It said they were showing a Revolutionary War era flag. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to tie this into that all of us, you know, and I think, are guilty. You know, they're trying to accuse all of us who enjoy freedom, you know, and I think they're trying to spin us off that we're the bad guys, which we're not.
Well, the White House is freaking out about this with Media Matters right now and saying that I said Harry Reid did it. I'm saying he runs that area. He stands to gain. He's been involved in Fast and Furious. I think they are suspects. In bare minimum, like we find out with this last shooter out in California, knowing something was going on and doing nothing. I mean, this is the opportune timing of this. If a group staged false flags before, then they're suspects in every new event. It's that simple, basic criminology. That's all I have to say. Good points, Roger. Jerry in Georgia, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex. I had called. I told them that if you go to these guys' hometown newspaper, the Lafayette newspaper, it's got the guy's whole rap sheet. He's been up for drug charges, criminal recklessness, battery charges, battery with strangulation.
No, I know. I've seen it. He fits the M.O. of an informant sent to the Bundy Ranch and then set up in a drill. Go ahead.
Well, no, my point is, instead of the headline saying violent ex-felon drug dealer shoots 2 cops, they skew the headline to what they want it to say.
Oh, I agree. And we need to get a big article out exposing all this. I mean, are police to blame for Dorner?
And Alex, if you Google Chicago weekend shootings, there were 30 shootings with 3 dead in Chicago this weekend.
Hey, that's a good point. 30 dead in Chicago shootings. Media ignores to blame Vegas on Tea Party. There's your headline right there.
All you have to do is Google the major cities where there are strict gun laws. Every Monday, they have the weekend shooting tally. And it's like, but this is something they can use, so it's got national news.
No, exactly. Yep, there is the NBC headline, Chicago, 30 shot, 4 fatally in weekend Chicago violence. But because that's gang-related, oh, it's a non-issue, you can't blame Alex Jones. But, oh, my gosh, we got a guy in a clown outfit. It must be Alex Jones's fault. I mean, I'm getting so sick of this. And I've caught him before planting stuff and making stuff up. I don't know if that's the case here, but, I mean, you know, we reach 20 million people a week. There are going to be some bad people that listen, but my gut tells me this stinks. I mean, CJ, give me your honest opinion in there. I mean, does this smell to you?
It smells a little bit, but, you know, somebody going nuts, it's a little plausible, but like you said before.
Should we arrest all police, though, because Dorner would kill people?
Sure, why not? We've got jails big enough.
Yeah, I think that's the answer. Because, I mean, any way you slice it, it's the sick culture. And a guy that was institutionalized the whole time. All right, thank you.
Adults dressing up like comic book characters. Again,
Paul, what do you think? Exactly, it's the culture. Paul in California, what do you think? Real fast.
I just want to say this whole thing was sick, and it's set up. It looked like it's set up. And hello?
No, I'm listening to you, brother.
Sorry. All I can say is all these other alternative news media that's online or whatever are going to be calling for a raw story, like you said earlier. I looked at the story, had your name on it, Ron Paul's name on it, and they said this guy they put a Gadsden flag on the cops. I find that suspect at all. And all these other alternative media are going to be clamping on that.
It just reeks of frame up. It reeks of frame up. Unbelievable.